Alright, all you glorious gamers out there, welcome to the PlayerStoo Podcast, the video game podcast for gamers like you, by gamers like you. You can find PlayerStoo on all the social media, that's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, the lot. You can also find our written content over at PlayerStoo.com, that's PlayerStoo.com. And if you could take 5 seconds to give us 5 stars over on Apple Podcasts, that would be really, really appreciated. It does a huge amount for the exposure of the show. And while you're over there, if you could give us a review as well, not a huge diatribe, just a little thumbs up, that would be absolutely amazing. And thank you to anyone that's already done that for us. You're an absolute legend. All right, and on with the show. With me, as always, Mr. Lewis Camley. How's it going, Lewis?
Not too bad at all, Mark. How you doing?
Not too bad. It's very, very rainy in Glasgow today.
Yep.
And I wasn't outside, but you got soaked.
It's because you make me walk around here every week to do this.
Yep, that's because I've got all the equipment. So what have you been playing this week?
Well, actually, last week on the show, I said that I was going to be hopefully finishing both Control and Baba Is You by this week's recording, and neither of those things has happened. Although I have been playing them. So really quickly, Baba Is You, as you kind of alluded to, just opened up into more areas.
Yeah.
I still think I'm very near the end, but there's some great puzzles still to come. On Control, I am on the very, very final battle of the main story campaign, which... partly just because of the way I was playing it yesterday, I got there and I had to stop for ages and I couldn't play it again until quite late at night, and I reached the point where I thought, I can't push this any further. I can't say very much about that point in the game without giving spoilers. Nothing major, but I'm not going to do that because...
You're a good guy, Lewis.
Yeah, exactly. And as you might have heard from other reviews and stuff, it's a frustrating finale.
A frustrating finale.
And I kind of lost the rag with it a bit. And I will go back, I will finish it, but it has left a little bit of a sour note at the end of the game. I've still got some side missions and stuff to do, so it won't be my kind of lasting impression of Control. And actually, the final third of the game is superb and some really interesting stuff going on, some cool mechanics, you know, the rest of the powers that you get and the ways that you can use them. One bit in particular, as I was playing it, I was thinking, fucking hell, this is going to be one of Mark's favourite video game moments possibly ever. So
that is a bold claim, because I, ladies and gentlemen, have also started playing Control. We discussed where I was in detail kind of off there before we started recording this, just to avoid any spoilers. Would you say 2/3 of the way through?
Yeah, comfortably. It seems to me like you're going through it at pace, and I don't know if you're...
I probably haven't done as many side missions as you had probably done.
Yeah.
up until the point that I'm currently at.
Mm-hmm. The part that you mentioned being at, which as I say, I think is about 2/3 of the way through, it did take a fairly noticeable difficulty jump after that for me, and I did do some kind of XP farming and stuff to then get some of the other mods and some of the other gun changes that you can have. I would suspect, given that you kind of seem to be playing it in like 5-hour stints at a time, whatever, like the next time you play it, you'll beat the campaign. So.
Oh really? Do you think
I would say so.
One more?
Unless you find some bit that you find particularly difficult, but it doesn't sound like that's happened so far. So
that's quite exciting. Anyway, my thoughts on the game, right, is that it is amazing with just god-awful flaws. Mm-hmm. And the flaws are mostly technical based. And I know that you were kind of saying about frame rate drops and things like that. I mean, they're really bad. They're not just like a wee bit bad. They're not just like kind of inconvenient. They're really annoying. And anytime you go in and out of menus, it really lags. Anytime that there's a lot of action happening on the screen, which is often, sometimes you get it a wee bit jittery and just not as smooth as you'd like it to be. I know that there's been a lot of technology put into this with regards to ray tracing. It was supposed to be a real showcase for that. Now, I'm playing on an OG PS4, as are you, I am aware. My PS4 sounds as if it's ready to take off to the moon anytime I'm playing this game. Also, during parts where you can see where they're trying to show off the ray tracing, they're trying to show off all these beautiful beams of light and things like that. And I'm sure that would look superb on a high-end PC that is capable of, well, it has a graphics card that's capable of doing ray tracing. I think that often that looks quite grainy. I expected the game to look better than it did. Now, this is to do with my hardware. Obviously, like I'm playing it on like an OG PS4 here. If I was playing it on a Pro, obviously it would look better. If I was playing it on PC, again, obviously it would look better. At this kind of base experience, I was kind of expecting a bit more from it, particularly because I know the amount of time and effort has been put into it looking amazing. Mm-hmm. But I've got to come on to the worst one.
All right.
That map. Oh my god, that map it's not just bad, it's like debilitating. I spent an unfathomable amount of time trying to get to a side mission location that I just couldn't fit. Like, I had to Google it. Like, I actually had to Google how to get to a place because I could not figure it out from the map. And it was the most unbelievably contrived way that I had to go to get to this like corridor that just led just nicely straight down a wee set of stairs to where the side mission was. It wasn't hidden or anything like that. It's just that the map did not supply me the tools to find that myself, and that is a garbage map.
Yeah.
That's not a map. That's not a good map, Liz. It's so bad.
It's nowhere near a map. It's basically just a few icons on a sort of topography of the building that you're in. It's not enough.
Yeah, and the map is dreadful. But see, when it doesn't load,
that's
it's
the
even
worst.
worse. It's even worse. The map, I would say 20% of the time,
I was
simply does not load.
Yeah. Like, if you, just in case you haven't played this or seen this, like literally what will happen sometimes is that you'll press up on the D-pad to bring up your map, and it kind of just overlays on the screen, and all that will come up sometimes is the names of different
It's just
parts.
the place names.
Yeah.
So imagine if you got a map, lifted all the place names off it, and then just pasted them on a white bit of paper. That's how the map looks. It is totally blank apart from the place names. I wasn't expecting to be as annoyed about the technical stuff as I am.
Yeah.
I'm actually really, really annoyed about it.
I'm sort of glad you feel like this in some ways, because when I spoke about this first a few weeks ago...
I will say this as well, sorry.
No,
so this is currently sitting at an 8.5 on Metacritic. I would struggle to give it that score based on the technical problems that it's had. That is such a crying shame, because this game is 10% of just polish.
Finesse,
finesse away from being like a strong 9.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the combat is amazing. It is so fucking fun. All the telekinetic powers, I absolutely love. I love all that shit. I love it so much. It reminds me a lot of Second Sight, which was a game on the PS2, which I thought was massively underrated, and I absolutely love that game, and I love the telekinetic powers in that, and I just love that shit in general, and I find it so fun. See the satisfaction you get of grabbing a rocket out the air and throwing it at a monster's face just to see it detonate, and the most satisfying explosion you've ever seen, because the game does try to do a lot with its effects and whatever, like, although I was kind of shitting on it a wee bit, but it does try to do a lot with its effects, and I find that things like that, and like picking up bits of rubble and just bits of concrete from the ground and throwing them very hard into a monster's face is incredibly satisfying.
Yeah, it's such a fun game to play. You're totally right. When I was speaking about it first a few weeks ago when I first got it, I feel like we've had more or less the same reaction. Like, playing it, you're like, this is great, but I just wish it was something slightly more. And I said at that point as well, like, whenever they get around to doing Control 2, it just needs that. It needs someone to go like, okay, you nearly had it here, and this is how we're going to polish it and refine it. It does feel a little bit like a tech demo that we have been subjected to, rather than like a full polished gaming experience.
I kind of wish that this wasn't published by 505 Games, because, and I've got nothing against 505 Games, and in fact I'm all for supporting smaller publishers, but I think that this project might have been slightly outside of their capabilities. I think if this were published by an Activision, say, I think that this game could have been an absolute stormer. Like, I really do. I believe that this could have been unbelievably good. It is so close to being brilliant, like absolutely brilliant, and it just keeps falling at really simple hurdles. It's the small things adding up. It's like the straw breaking the camel's back, right? It's just all these tiny little really fucking annoying things throughout the game that just add up to it really sometimes really not being a very good experience, quite frankly.
Brutal stuff.
It is, because I wanted to love this game, and it is so close. It is so close.
Do you think a delay
amazing.
would have just fixed that? I can't help but think that maybe if this game, and I can imagine the winter schedule puts them off doing that, but if they'd released this game in like January...
Honestly, I'm not sure. I think that they might have had quite a lot more money, because I think that they've obviously went headfirst for all this ray tracing stuff, which is great. I mean, like, well,
fix your game first, you know, like that can come later.
I kind of feel the same way. It's like, fix your game, fix your gameplay, make sure that there's none of these issues, and then then do all that stuff. But they were trying to showcase this new technology, and I think that it's kind of showing that the hardware, particularly like these original PlayStations, that the technology has now moved past them, and we are very much in need of a new generation. I really kind of wish that they'd maybe just pulled back on that and just went, do you know what? Maybe this is something for Control 2.
Yeah.
But as well, as you were saying, the world is amazing as well. It's so good. I enjoy the level design quite a lot. I wish I could traverse it much easier because of the dumb map. But I think that just everything about the world, these amazing like brutalist architecture, massive spaces that you're given as like a battlefield, are great. Like, I really, really like it. I really do. But they're And it's almost all technical issues that I have with it, and it's just like, this is one of the few times that I've ever played a game where I'm like, no, these are kind of ruining the experience. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can put up with a lot. Like, I can put up with a lot of frame rate shit, right? This is one that I'm just like, fuck, there it goes again and again and again. It's so close to being brilliant though. It's so fucking close.
Speaking of progress and hardware, the one other thing that I've been doing is playing a little bit of Apple Arcade, which we spoke about at length last week. So yeah, I joined up just after it launched, and you get this free trial, which is basically what I'm doing just now, and it really clearly signposts when you need to cancel that before it starts charging you. So I've given myself this first month to kind of see what it's like. So far I've played one game through in its entirety, which is called Assemble with Care. It's the studio that made Monument Valley, Us 2 I think it's called. It's a bit like Florence, which we spoke about at length last week, which is just kind of like really short little missions where you basically go around helping people repair things. That's, you play this character who's like arrived in this town, there's a festival about to happen, and you're helping them repair things. So it's just got really
tug at the heartstrings a little bit.
Like not massively, like not as much as Florence did, but it's got a nice little story. It's kind of about like repairing your own relationships through helping other people's relationships. Basically, I was really hungover and I needed something that was going to be gentle to me. I couldn't face control, so I went and played this.
Fair enough, man.
But it was good, you know, it was nice. It whiled away like an hour and a half or whatever. But I've downloaded the Rayman game. I've downloaded Shinsekai, the Capcom game.
Yeah.
So really looking forward to that, but it's one that you need headphones for and all that, and I just wasn't in the state for it at that point.
Do you not do Sayonara Wild Hearts, no?
I've got that as well, yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I kind of just went and grabbed, I've got Exit the Gungeon as well.
Nice.
I grabbed the things that I was most interested in.
This is very cool, I like this.
Yeah. The one thing that isn't on it, which we did say would be, is the Pathless, which I think just...
It's not on it yet. It's not. Yeah. That wasn't a launch title, but it is coming.
I think it's actually been delayed in its entirety. Need to double check that, but...
oh no.
Yeah. So anyway, so I've been kind of messing about with it. I don't love that. Basically, you go into it through the App Store, and it's got this little arcade section. How you find stuff is exactly the same as the rest of the App Store. So it's got giving you recommendations and stuff, which isn't always the tidiest, I don't think. And you basically download each one as its own app. I kind of hoped there would be like an Apple Arcade kind of hub, which would make it slightly easier to navigate. But it's all like, it's pretty nice. It's pretty streamlined and easy to use, and the games look incredible. They've really showcased them. They're getting all the review systems in place and stuff. So I think it's fine. Like, I'm excited to just basically use this month as a tester, play all these games, see how it goes.
Does it feel like good value for money?
Well, given that I haven't paid anything yet, yes, but the stuff...
No, but hypothetically, if you were paying a $5 a month for this.
Well, I think basically, if the games that I've currently downloaded are any good, then I would say, yes, at the moment, it is worth the money. But again, if the next 100 games or 300 games or whatever don't come quickly, or they aren't any use, then I'm going to start to say, well, I can, most of these games, or a lot of these games, you're going to be able to play in a couple of hours. You're not going to return to again and again and again. So then that's when the value starts to come into play. So we'll see. But at the moment, I'm like relatively impressed with it, and I don't play mobile games very much. So
cool. Well, I play a lot more mobile games than you. I think we spoke about my Dr. Mario World addiction last podcast, but I have deleted that from my phone as of today, quite genuinely. And I will be downloading Apple Arcade, and I'm going to be giving that a go as well. So yeah, I'll report back next podcast. Yeah. And speaking of mobile subscription services, on to the news. News item number 1. Google will launch their own mobile subscription service. It will be called Google Play Pass. It will be available on Android phones. Google are promising more than 350 completely unlocked, quotes, Android apps and games. The apps and games will be free from any ads or in-app purchases. It will cost $4.99 per month, the same as Apple Arcade. But Google are also promising early adopters a $1.99 per month fee for the first year, which is pretty good. We're giving all that in dollars because there is no release date for the UK as of yet that I am aware of, and Google has been fairly historically slow at getting some services to the UK and the rest of the world outside of America, so it remains to be seen how long that's going to take. There's no new games, it's worth pointing out, but some of the absolute banging games that you can get on your Google Play Pass include chess, hearts, 2 games called checkers, 3 games called Sudoku, and no less than 8 solitaire games.
People love their solitaire, Mark.
Absolutely. And some of the apps include File Manager, Barcode Scanner, and my personal favourite, the Unit Converter. Okay, and
it does have some real games.
It does have some real games. Like, so the main kind of big ones on it are Star Wars, the Knights of the Old Republic, Limbo, Monument Valley 1 and 2, Stardew Valley, the Reigns series of Reigns Game of Thrones, and the My Town series as well, which is a kind of big mobile series as well, which is kind of not bad, but I get the sense that 350 is much more quantity than quality, if I'm totally honest with you. Oh, I don't know, what do you make of all this?
I think they maybe have responded a little too quickly because it becomes so apparent that that's what they're doing.
I know, it feels like the weekend at like the forgotten child in the corner's like, I'm still here, I'm still here.
And like you say, whether we'll ever actually see it over in these parts, who knows? But it's like, there's some decent games there. It's not too high an asking price. I think that the apps thing is interesting. I would quite like it if Apple looked at doing something similar as well, because there's loads of stuff that you might try out, but we'll see. Like, I don't think it's going to do as well as Apple Arcade might do it. It's not had this big a launch. It's not been made as big a deal of, but good that, Android users are getting an offer there at least.
Yeah, absolutely. It just feels like a bit of an afterthought. It feels like something that they're doing just to respond to Apple, and that there was no planning involved in this whatsoever. There's just like Apple launched Apple Arcade and then Google went, oh shit, like, oh, we need to do something. All right, and news item number 2. Link's Awakening, the remake, has come out. This was dropped, I think, the day after our previous podcast. Nintendo continuing to fuck us over on the release date schedule there. By all accounts, it seems to have done really, really well. It's currently sitting at an 88 on Metacritic. Don't be a slave to that Metacritic. But I think in this case, the last time I looked at it, I didn't have a single negative review. So there does seem to have been some frame rate issues on the Switch. It seems actually that some of the frame rate issues are coming from when it's docked as opposed to being undocked, which I think is quite strange. But nonetheless, there does seem to be some frame rate issues. Other than that, it's an absolute classic, and it's just been updated for these modern times that we live in. However, there has been some slight controversy around it because it's a full price game, but it's a remake of a 25-year-old game. I think it's one of the best remakes I've ever seen. I mean, it's totally rebuilt from the ground up. But nonetheless, it is an old game. It's a game that's been remade multiple times. But as I said, it's full price. Also, there seems to be some chat around how much gameplay you're getting for your buck here. I've heard 8 to 10 hours battered around quite a lot for the time to complete the game, which might be true if you know the game, and I'm sure a lot of these reviewers who are big into Zelda will have probably played this game multiple times. But however, it seems that a more typical playthrough of the game, according to the people at howlongtobeat.com, it seems to be closer to 15 hours, which I don't really think is too bad. Like, I don't know, what do you make of all that?
I think that's not too bad, really. I've been mulling this over a bit because I'm really excited to play the game. I've never played Link's Awakening before. Like, I'm really interested in buying it, and it's been playing on my mind whether or not it's worth full price. To me, at 15 hours, for a game that looks this good, bearing in mind there might be frame rate issues, but like that the art style is so good, and that is an iconic game in the series. It's a series that I really want to kind of get more into, having totally fallen in love with Breath of the Wild. So yeah, like, I think it's probably worth it for people like us who haven't played this before and for whom all the puzzles are going to be new and interesting, and the world is going to be exciting.
Can I just say, I have exactly zero problem paying this money to play this game. However, I completely understand that people do.
Yeah. That's it. If you've played this many times before, you've possibly bought it many times before, then to be asked to pay full price isn't ideal. But that's the decision you've got to make as a player. Do you need to be part of the zeitgeist and talking about this right now? If you've already played it a load, maybe you don't need to do that, and you can wait a couple of months and see if it comes down in price. Obviously, the issue with that is Nintendo
historically garbage at that.
Yeah, so you might be waiting. But for me personally, and it sounds like for you personally, paying this money for a game like this is fine. Like, I paid full price for Control. It had plenty of issues. It's not much longer than 15 hours main campaign. So, what more do you want? Like, this is a game that I know categorically is going to be good.
No, the difference is that was breaking new bounds with its ray tracing technology, and this is a 25-year-old game.
Well, which one looks better?
Yeah, only you can really determine whether or not this is going to be worth it for you. But just know going in, it's probably going to be about a 15-hour experience if you're coming new to it. And if the game looks good enough that that's worth your money at full price, yeah, I don't think that you should be made to feel bad for wanting to spend that money in the game, because I tell you what, I definitely don't. All right, and news item number 3. The Nintendo Switch Lite has come out this week, Lewis. It came out on the 20th, which was 4 days ago as of this recording, and already there have been reports of Joy-Con drift. There was a video that went I was going to say viral, but that's not really what I mean. There was a video that was massively upvoted on Reddit that showed a Joy-Con beginning to drift, and this from a system that, again, it had only come out 4 days ago. And I done a bit of Googling after that to see if I could find any more, and kind of sure enough, there were multiple other instances of this happening just on Twitter and various other places. I'm not really sure that we can put this down to wear and tear after 4 days. This very much seems as if it was a design issue, which is slightly ridiculous considering the extent of the issue with the standard Switch. Nintendo are already facing a class action lawsuit in America over the Joy-Con drift from the standard model, never mind this new model. Yeah, I'm not really sure what you make of this. This is pretty crap, really, because for those of you that don't know, there is no Joy-Cons on the Nintendo Switch Lite. The Joy-Cons are built into the system, so you can't just swap them out as you can with the standard Switch. So if these are already beginning to drift 4 days in, then your system's effectively, or could quite quickly become not fit for purpose.
Yeah.
That's really bad.
It's atrocious, I think, actually. We have both had issues with Joy-Con drift on our kind of original Switch models. For this to have happened after,
4 days.
4 days is crazy. It's so bad. It shows that they just have not learned anything from the issue in the past. They haven't changed their components. It seems, by most accounts, to be something to do with the contact pads wearing away, which, if that is happening after 4 days... Because it's a portable only model.
Well, the thing is that you're saying
that
it's about these pads wearing away. That can't happen after 4 days. This seems to be a more fundamental design flaw to me, rather than it's something degrading over time. Is in fact something that is actually fundamentally wrong.
Wrong in the first place. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, that's what they've told us before, and that's kind of what they were offering free repairs in the States for.
Well, yeah, I think that we'd previously mentioned on this podcast, in fact, that it had been reported that Nintendo were going to fix Joy-Cons for free. However, I think after that, and after the story had kind of died down a little bit because it completely went under my radar, was in actual fact in the UK, that's not the case. That is only in America. In the UK, we still have to pay to get our Joy-Cons fixed if we want them fixed. With the new Switch coming out now, the Switch Lite, with the exact same problems, I really think that is not in good faith at all.
Not at all.
I think that they really have to get their finger out with that, just as a worldwide policy from Nintendo, and that can't just be limited to the United States, because this is a global problem.
Yeah.
This isn't a United States problem. Fair enough, the United States are a bit fast and loose with the old class action lawsuit, right? But it's still a worldwide problem.
Yeah. I mean, you can't offer one set of people with that issue one solution and not offer everyone else it. It's just really not on. It's put a real dampener on the Switch experience. I'm finding it quite difficult to play certain games at the moment because my left joystick is essentially gone. What do you do about that? Like, so I can pay. It sounds like I can pay Nintendo to fix them. I'm not dying to do that.
No, because as well, there have been multiple reports of people getting their Joy-Cons back, them lasting a few days, and then bang, you're back to
the issues back.
Drift
Yeah,
again.
and then your alternative is to buy new Joy-Cons, which this will happen with again, or is very likely to happen with again,
and are very expensive.
Yeah, and they're expensive. Yeah, or you have to buy a controller, in which case you've rendered your Switch not portable, really, in a kind of meaningful sense. So yeah, I'm a little bit stuck with it just now. I don't think this is any good. Should really be a product recall if it's happening after 4 days. If there's a mass number of these out there, which we'll start to see, I'm sure. But
I suspect we will. Like, obviously, the Joy-Cons were always going to be under a microscope when they came out. This might just be a very small number of users. You do have to keep that in mind. I'm not trying to claim that there's any overwhelming outrage happening at the moment, at least, with regards to the Joy-Cons on the Lite model. But if over time we're starting to see more and more, keeping in mind this is only 4 days in, and we're starting to see more and more and more and more and more, it'll, like it did with the standard Switch, it'll eventually get to this critical mass where it will be getting headlines. Yeah. Like, I'm sure Kotaku would jump at the chance to write a piece on it, All right, and news item number 3. Borderlands sales have been insane, Lewis. Have been absolutely insane. Borderlands 3 has sold over 5 million units in the first 5 days, which is the fastest selling 2K game ever, which is very impressive. That is 50% more than Borderlands 2 sold in the same amount of time. A game that went on to sell 22 million units. I think a more interesting statistic here is that more than 70% of those sales were digital, which I think is very telling, and that the Epic Games Store sales have been, quote, incredibly strong. So all this outrage over the Epic Game Store and we're going to boycott it, and why would anyone ever use that, when it came down to the brass taxes and when a game came out on it that everyone actually wanted, no one cared, and it showed the overwhelming minority that was those people that were so unbelievably outraged and harassing devs. And I mean, you can be annoyed about the exclusives on the Epic Game Store if you want. I'm not trying to take that away from you, but if you're getting yourself in such a mess that you're going out to verbally abuse people on Twitter, then you can go and fuck yourself, quite frankly. As I said, like, now that it's come down to brass tacks, now that it's come down to put your money where your mouth is, no one gave a shit. Or at least the vast majority of people didn't give a shit. The sales have been incredible.
Yeah, it's a boon for 2K and for Borderlands, you know, to have broken these records, to be absolutely killing it. The game hasn't been massively well received in terms of some of its own kind of issues, but
there have been technical. I mean, the game has been well received critically, but there have nonetheless been technical issues.
Yeah, there's been some pushback
without a shadow of a doubt. But I think that there's actually a big update coming in the next week.
Yeah,
I want to say like a big proper this will fix many of the issues.
Yeah, exactly. There's bound to be that. So yeah, I mean, I just want to echo what you said there, Mark. Like, it's great for. I have no personal issue with the Epic Game Store, and I think it's really good for them that this has worked.
It's great for the Epic Game Store. Like, they put a massive amount into marketing this game. You could not turn a corner without seeing Borderlands 3. It was insane. I thought the marketing for Red Dead 2 was a bit egregious, but that is nothing compared to Borderlands 3. Honestly, it felt as if they were having a media conference every other week.
Yeah, it's like every single show that has been on in the last 6 months has mentioned it or had some.
Yeah, exactly. Had some huge long trailer.
Yeah. So yeah, but you know, it's a sign that there's definitely still competition in this market, and that fans will go where the games are, not where they have always been. So it's an interesting time for sure.
No, like I said, I like what Epic Game Store are doing. Do I think that they've went about getting their exclusives in the best way possible? I mean, quite genuinely, no. Like, I thought the whole Metro Exodus thing was a bit not great, to be honest. I nonetheless like that they're supporting devs more. They're giving devs a bigger slice of the pie, and the more that we can support devs, the more games that they can create, and is better for the whole ecosystem, you know? All right, and that's it for the news this week. As we're recording this, there is about to be a PlayStation State of Play. So what me and Luce are going to do is that we are going to grab a beer, and then we're going to discuss that State of Play as our topic of the week. This State of Play is looking quite exciting, actually, because it very, very much seems as though we're going to get possibly a release date for The Last of Us Part 2, and also some Batman stuff, potentially, Luce.
Seems fairly likely. So yeah, you might have seen over the last few days, WB Montreal have been kind of teasing something.
They put out their first tweet in 4 years is what they've done.
Yeah, and some really kind of interesting kind of logo graphics, which a lot of people are interpreting as about this Court of Owls comic arc.
Yeah, this kind of legendary Batman comic arc.
Yeah.
One of the greatest modern
exactly
Batman
that. And that rumours about that being turned into a game have been floating around for quite a while now. It's been suggested before that Rocksteady would be doing that. So seems like all the pieces are coming into place. Feels very convenient that they did that the night before a State of Play address, so we'll see.
But what else are we thinking? Maybe a wee bit of Ghost of Tsushima, maybe? We've not heard about that in a long time.
And you should have said something about that the other day, just about how gorgeous the graphics were. So I was thinking that might be there, yeah.
Wee bit more Final Fantasy VII Remake?
Possibly.
I think it could. I think Final Fantasy VII Remake and Death Stranding. I don't think they need this. I think just let them breathe a little now, you know?
Totally agree.
But what I did see was a tweet from Annapurna that was very much angling towards what was the guy who the Katamari Damacy?
Keita Takahashi.
Yeah, that's the one. Well done, bit of Googling there, List. That was good. So they sent out a tweet about something like, you thought our announcements were over or something like that, and then he retweeted it, and there was a whole thing, and it seems very much as if that might be part of it as well. But we'll see. We'll grab a beer, we'll come back, and then we'll see if we look like fools for saying that. And we are back with Topic of the Week. Topic of the Week this week is the PlayStation State of Play that we literally just watched. Thoughts on it overall before we dig deep, Lewis?
Not as impressive as it might have been, but still decent.
Yeah, it was decent. It was short, it was concise, it was to the point, it was only 20 minutes. It wasn't as long as we've come to expect from a Nintendo Direct, say, which is the format that is very, very much trying to emulate. I mean, there's no need for foreshadowing here. There was a Last of Us 2 announcement, and there wasn't a Batman one. So, but we'll go through the stuff that was mentioned in order. The first game that was mentioned was Humanity, which was a bizarre crowd game that was kind of giving me Lemmings vibes. I don't know what you thought about that. I thought it was entirely bizarre. It seemed as if you were trying to, in an almost tower defense fashion, try to protect certain aspects of your enormous crowd with people with guns when they had NPCs coming in to attack you. Don't really know what was going on. Most of that's a guesswork.
Yeah. There was some other stuff of just like people being kind of catapulted into the air and weird kind of streams of humans.
Yeah, there was that actually. Yeah, that was
hard
to
tell exactly what it is.
That was bizarre.
Looks very much like a physics engine turned into a game, but it looked kind of fun, I thought.
Yeah, it did. It was kind of like dumb fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And I quite liked it.
Coming next year as well.
Coming next year. Next up was Call of Duty Modern Warfare. We kind of got a wee bit of a kind of more lengthy story trailer, which again is just more and more looking as if they're leaning into this really gritty, more quote real version of war. They did actually mention chemical weapons in this trailer as well, which if you know anything about the Call of Duty stuff that's been bandied about recently, was the fact that they were using white phosphorus as one of the kill streaks, which is a chemical weapon that if used is considered a war crime, and there was a bit of controversy around that. I don't know, I feel conflicted about this because I don't know how white phosphorus is any worse than nuclear weapons, which have been a staple in Call of Duty games for a long time, but I understand that it's far from pleasant. They said an interesting kind of tagline at the end there, which is that the rules of engagement have changed, and if you can't identify the target, then you're the target, kind of thing, which more kind of, again, just kind of leans into that it might not be entirely obvious to you throughout, well, the campaign at least, who is friend and who is foe, and I don't know, maybe you end up killing some innocents here, and in a gritty, realistic war game, I'm not really sure how that's going to go down. Or I think that they need to play that really, really well to come off well. They also showed off a Special Ops Survival mode, which very much looks like a sort of Horde mode.
Yep, yeah, pretty much it.
And that will be available first on PS4. Next up was Wattam. This by the creator of Katamari Damacy, which was called by this guy, but very much telegraphed by Annapurna beforehand. This from Kita Takahashi. It seems to be in a very Katamari Damacy fashion to do with connecting people, making large human chains among delightful little whimsical characters, for the purpose of which I'm not very sure. I've again written down bizarre, and it's coming in December 2019. I don't know what you thought of this.
It wasn't a very kind of sensical trailer, really. Very hard to tell what was happening.
I don't think much of what that man does is, to be perfectly honest with you. But he's high on the whimsy meter. Yeah, he's very high on the whimsy meter.
Nice and colourful and stuff. But yeah, who knows what that is? And that's coming December though. So
December,
not
coming December. If you're interested in Katamari Damacy or you like Katamari Damacy, maybe something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Next up was Arise, a simple story.
Yeah, so it starts with like a funeral pyre, and then it's as if you've woken up centuries later or something. Yeah, maybe in the afterlife, or whatever.
Yeah. Kind of Nordic vibes, I think it's fair to say. I initially thought it looked a bit kind of like a walking simulator, then kind of moved on to maybe it looked a bit like Limbo. I think that you said, actually, I think I've settled on it looks like a third-person Firewatch.
Yeah, it's got some like nice-looking kind of platformy sections, but mostly it looks like just kind of traversing a world.
But as well, I actually think that the art style looks like looks a bit like Firewatch, but with a kind of different colour palette, much more kind of blues and whites, and it was a lot more kind of snowy environments rather than the kind of warm environments of Firewatch. I thought it looked interesting. One of these indie games that are worth keeping an eye on, certainly, particularly because it's being promoted by PlayStation. I always think that they're kind of generally worth keeping an eye on. Next up was L.A. Noire, shadow dropping on PSVR today. I know that you were interested in L.A. Noire back in the day.
I mean, I loved the original game. Yeah, I thought it was fantastic, really interesting concept and fairly well executed. A bit different from other stuff Rockstar was doing at the time. Not got any interest in playing it in VR, obviously, but I'm sure someone will go out there and play it. It's already out on VR, right? It's already out on Oculus Rift and stuff. I think it's just not been on PlayStation so far.
I honestly don't know.
I think
I really don't know.
Truth, yeah,
I'm not overly plugged into the VR scene, if I'm completely honest with you. Not that I have anything against VR, I just don't happen to own one. Next up, in fact, was a VR montage.
Yeah, so they showed a whole bunch of different games that are coming to PSVR at different points. So that started with a game called Gorn, which is coming this winter. Then they had Aspire 1 VR Operative, which is coming out this very month. So, I mean, it must be in the next few days, basically. Stardust Odyssey, which is dropping in winter. this year as also. Then After the Fall in 2020, and Space Channel 5 VR kinda funky newsflash, which is coming.
That looked quite bizarre.
Yeah,
that looks as if your Katamari Damacy man had a good LSD.
Too much fizzy pop. Yeah,
the only one that stood out to me, I've got to say, was that Gorn, which looked like ARMS, the kind of Switch launch game. But like with a kind of Mortal Kombat bloodiness.
Yeah, I mean, like it was quite hard to follow and take notes at the same time. So, but After the Fall, I thought looked kind of interesting as well. That looked a wee bit more kind of traditional, like first-person sort of shootery zombie kind of world sort of stuff. But yeah, as we said earlier, like VR is not really our scene, but plenty there to get stuck into.
Yeah, definitely keep an eye on that stuff. I think that the value that you get out of your PSVR is pretty good. I mean, the price point on a lot of these Oculus stuff, particularly at the Oculus Go and things like that, are, although they're probably the best experience, the point of entry is pretty high.
Well, exactly, yeah.
Next up was Medieval. There was a PlayStation dropping today, was it? Dropping today on the PlayStation Store. Yeah. And the game is coming out in October, so if you are interested in the remake of Medieval, keep an eye out for that.
Have you got any interest in that?
Yeah, I can kind of take it and leave it. I feel as if I'm not playing the Spyro remakes, there's very little chance of me going back and playing the Medieval, if I'm totally honest with you.
Fair enough.
Next up was Civilization 6, debuting on the PS4 for the first time. Or debuting on PlayStation for the first time, shall I say. Coming in November the 22nd, and is launching with some PS exclusive content. Was that coming at launch?
I think so, yeah. Seemed to be. Just more Civilization stuff. I think they get regular updates on PC and stuff. So.
Oh yeah, they're well supported, all those Civ games. So if you're into that, look out for it on PlayStation. Next up was Death Stranding Limited Edition PlayStation 4 Pro. Lewis, thoughts?
I didn't like it.
No, me neither, really. I thought the PlayStation Pro 4 itself was fine. It was just kind of a white box with the kind of ghostly hands.
I think it didn't need that, basically.
From Death Stranding. But the controller, the yellow bile-coloured controller, transparent bile-coloured controller, was doing nothing for me.
I guess it's meant to be
absolutely nothing for me.
The same colour as the Bridge Babies.
Yes, I understand what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, I'm just saying that for the listeners, but
it looks dreadful.
Not good day.
Next up was After Party. This is from the creators of Oxenfree. An odd sort of looking game again. It seems to be that you have to out-drink and out-party the devil as two college students to escape hell. And that's an odd concept.
It is an odd concept. It sounds like it should be quite fun, but the game doesn't
I must
do
admit,
a lot for me.
For the creators of Oxenfree, a game that I desperately want to play, this was ticking no boxes for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to say none.
It looks kind of just like a series of like mini games and party games and stuff like that, and like the world is kind of interesting enough. Some of the art style stuff was interesting, but
it did have a cool art style.
Yeah,
it was quite a cool art style.
I don't know. Yeah, it just wasn't. I really wanted it to click, and the trailer finished, and I thought, oh no,
and it kind of didn't.
It's not happened for me yet. But yeah, it's coming on October the 29th. If you've got any interest in it, it's not too far away.
After that, we were given a sneak preview of the October PlayStation Plus lineup, and they started off with a trailer for MLB The Show 2019, a game that never came out that long ago in reality. It was March the 26th. But more importantly, The Last of Us, the original Last of Us remastered, is also coming in October as a free PlayStation Plus game, much to my distress because I bought it but 2 months ago.
Was that as soon as you bought it? Yeah, Jesus.
Yes, it was quite sad. Quite sad. However, what wasn't sad is what came after this, which was the all but certain Last of Us 2 story trailer and release date. The release date being the 21st of February 2020. Very much in line with the leak that came out, I don't know, what was it, maybe about 6 months ago or something like that now. Yeah. So, yeah, the end of February was very much on the cards, and this is exactly with that. So, yeah. Woo!
Excited to be getting on it.
I am excited. I thought the story trailer looked amazing as well.
It was a strong trailer. Yeah, some really there's a lot of little bits of that trailer that make you go like, oh, I wonder if it's going to be this kind of game or is it going to do this type of thing. So we seem to be going back into the kind of cityscapes that we saw in the first game, but also it looked like it might have some sort of community element or some sort of hub world element.
Well, there definitely seems to be a community a settlement or whatever it is that Ellie is part of, that she seems to have perhaps gone a bit rogue from, but there certainly seems to be some sort of safe zone that she is in to begin with. I suppose the reveal at the end of this trailer was that Joel seems to be coming on the journey with you, or
turns up at some point. At least
it certainly turns up at some point. What are your thoughts on that?
It's interesting.
That kind of player role reversal, I suppose.
Yeah, like if he's actually accompanying you in game, that'll be interesting. Good to know that he's there. That there were so many rumours that he might be dead before the game begins. So it seems maybe a little bit fan servicey to put him in a trailer at this point and not just give us that reveal in the game, but speaking to what people want to know, which is he there? Can we play as him? You know, those kind of things. So yeah,
I'm not entirely sure you would be able to play as him. I think that, well, I mean, we can't say that for certain, obviously, but I think it's heavily implied that you play as Ellie.
Yeah, for most, if not all of the game, yeah.
Yeah, and the trailer seemed to very much imply what was speculated, in that the girl, the woman that Ellie kissed at the E3 trailer, what was that, 2018? It would have been the big reveal, the big moment of E3 that year, that she is maybe killed, maybe captured, something bad seems to have happened, and that Ellie is going on a bit of a rampage. I know that it's been said before that the previous game was all about kind of love, effectively, and this game is all about hate.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you think about that as well.
I'm not sure yet what I think about it. I worry if that is the case, that it might be a bit of a simplistic story beat. I trust that Naughty Dog can do more with that, and like I wouldn't be surprised if they are giving us stuff in the trailer that is meant to make us think one thing and they're actually doing a different thing. I don't know. I've kind of very quickly looked at Twitter while we've been talking here, and there's quite a lot of anger already at the idea of just killing the lesbian character in order to make the main character do something, which, you know, like fridging is kind of a thing, so it could be problematic. I think they won't do that. That would be my bet just now, but could be wrong. What's your take?
Obviously, I mean, it's difficult for me to say that killing off the gay character or using the gay character as part of the story beat as a sort of, I don't know,
catalyst kind of thing.
Catalyst exactly to the story. Obviously, that doesn't affect me, but I understand that people might be sensitive to that, and that might be a bit of a trope that people like Naughty Dog might not want to play up to. Mm-hmm. However, my bigger problem with it is that if it is this woman who Ellie seems to be in some sort of relationship with has been killed or has been kidnapped, I worry that the player who isn't familiar with this character, who only knows this character since that kiss on the E3 trailer, will that have the gravity, will that situation, will that kidnap, will that death have the gravity for the player, or the same gravity for the player as it does for Ellie in game, who would obviously be devastated and this would be, as you said, like the catalyst for her rampage, for her going out, for her going rogue, for her seeking revenge. Will that be earned to the player, or will it be a bit of Daenerys in the final season of Game of Thrones? You know, so that's more what my concern is. I, like you, trust Naughty Dog with this. I think that they will surprise us. I trust them with the story. I have faith that this will be fantastic. I still have faith that this will be fantastic. I think actually of all the PlayStation 4 exclusives coming, including Death Stranding, I have the most faith that this will be definitely the best. Like there's very little chance that this won't be, but I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. I would imagine even just like gameplay wise and stuff, like it's going to be absolutely solid. So yeah, I think it'll be the one that reviews the best out of all the upcoming PlayStation exclusives.
Definitely. No Batman, Lewis.
No Batman. Yeah, I mean, I'm not crying out for it the way some people are. I hope that whenever they do get around to doing more Batman, they take it in a slightly different direction. I think like Arkham Knight was a nice end point and maybe a slightly tired formula. So I'm in no rush for that. But
I think that when they do something new, or I hope that they do expand out from that Arkham universe that they've built, which was fantastic and is superb and has been lauded for years and years and years, but it would be interesting to see them break out and do something new and do something different, get away from that kind of rock steady formula, and let's see this dev studio do their own thing. You know what I mean? Let's see what you've got, you know, tell
a fresh story in a fresh way. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, apart from the limited edition PlayStation Pro, nothing more on Death Stranding, nothing more on Final Fantasy VII Remake, still nothing on Ghost of Tsushima. I don't know now this is what PlayStation's formula is going forward, is that the next big one, what's the next big one? The next big one's Death Stranding, so it's all focus on that up until the month before, literally the month before it's coming out. Then we move on to the next one, then you get the release date for the next one, and that is now The Last of Us Part 2, and I don't know that maybe in January or maybe the start of February next year, then we're talking about a release date for Ghost of Tsushima. However, we have seen nothing from this game since E3 2018.
Yeah.
And that concerns me a bit.
Yeah.
I've got to say.
I mean, as I say, like
again, Sucker Punch is from a damn good studio. You know, it's from a studio that I trust. But I think it's easy for any studio to get into development hell if just a couple of things don't roll your way. If there's maybe a bit of mismanagement on any level, you know what I mean. I think it's easy to fall into that, and I'm now slightly worried about this game because I thought it did look really good, but I just want to see more now. I want to see something else.
It's definitely time for that, yeah. As I said before, like Shuhei Yoshida has already sort of recently said that, I've got the quote here, he said, "When I play it, it's so beautiful that my hands stop," and he's overwhelmed by the graphics.
Well, I have to say that when it was shown off at E3, it was absolutely stunning.
I was just starting to wonder if maybe this is going to be the crossover title that this will launch.
Ghost of Tsushima.
It'll be on PS5.
It'll be on PS5 and it'll be on PS4.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, see, to be honest with you, unless it's coming out in summer next year, it's going to need to be.
It's going to need to be.
By all accounts, the next gen consoles will be on the shelves for Christmas.
Yeah. I just even think if you launch that in August, you're still going to have to put it on PS5. You can't have a game that's only out for 2 or 3 months before you change systems, you know.
Also, did you see that the new gen consoles are committed to being carbon neutral or whatever it is?
Yeah, reducing energy outputs or whatever.
Yeah, and like, I think it was particularly in sleep modes and things like that. And I think Xbox actually came out and said that they want the new Xbox to be like carbon neutral. Which I don't really know how. I don't even know how that possibly. Yeah. I don't know if that was just in the building.
Because it's just an online service now.
No, I don't know if that was just in like the building of it, like the actual creating of it, that it was carbon neutral. But that's all good. Focus on
saving the world.
Saving the world. We are in climate emergency, so every little helps at this point, I think. And on that cheery note, I'd like to remind everyone that you can find PlayersToo on all the social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, the lot. You can also find our written content over at PlayerStoo.com. That's PlayerStoo.com. And if you could take 5 seconds to give us 5 stars over on Apple Podcast, that would really, really help us out. It does a huge amount for the exposure of the show. And if you've liked anything you've listened to here, please consider going to do that. Again, it really, really helps us out. There's a reason that every single podcast you listen to asks you to go and do this. It really helps us out. And while you're over there, you might as well give us a little review as well. Not a big, huge diatribe, just a little thumbs up is good enough for us. I'd also like to remind everyone that our play-along game for this month is Braid. There's still plenty of time to get on that, and I can assure you that it will be worth every single penny that you spend on it. It is a truly special game. All right, ladies and gentlemen, catch you later.
Thanks very much.